Welcome to the Two Regular Teachers podcast. My name's Rick Taylor-Thompson.
My name's Adam Lavaz. Thanks for joining us for episode 23 on what is finally, probably for the first time during our school year, an actual summer day.
It is, Adam, and there's a heat wave coming up, I see.
There is on the weekend. I think it's going to be hitting 38 almost on Sunday,
yes,
I think.
And then early, or low 30s, I should say, early next week. So good luck to all those people in Burr buildings, including me next week.
Yes. The Burr buildings are hard, aren't they, mate?
No air conditioning.
No air conditioning and the lights go on and off.
It's just if there's a northwesterly that's really stiff, it just gets hot in there. But it's the first full week back for teachers with students, Adam, and it's been a baptism of fire for many people around the state.
It has.
First year grads and all that sort of stuff. How have you gone down there in grade 1 too?
Baptism of fire is probably the word for it. It's funny because I thought, as a teacher with 8 or 9 years experience, whatever I've got, I can't remember, that the transition to be a bit different. I make it down there. I didn't anticipate how different it really was, and I found it difficult. I really have found it difficult because going from the 5/6s to 1/2s, I think I might have mentioned it briefly last week. It's just it's hard to actually sort of put into words how different it really is.
Yeah, it's that change, I guess, between true independence in the later years and
it is.
And none. And the grade ones, you've basically got preps.
I do, and I've probably overcorrected. I probably try and explain things 5 or 6 times and really go over it, and I've got the visuals and I'm doing that, and off they go, and inevitably within the first minute someone's come up to me do I do it on this side? Yes, you do it on that side. You've got to keep yourself in check. Yes, you do it on that side. Pop it. Yeah, that perfect. Doing those sort of things. And you really I've got to watch myself because I could explain things to the 5/6s once, and off they go. The laptops would be out. They do wonderful work. And my 1/2s are doing wonderful work. It just takes them longer to get there. The other thing on the other side, I've never seen kids go to the toilet more times in a day than I've seen 1/2s go to the toilet.
Yeah.
Can I go to the toilet? Yes, you can. I want to say that's the 4th time in an hour. But no, of course you can. Off you go. Be quick, and they come back. Well done. I try and give lots of encouragement. Whereas I'd have 5/6s who I might have one kid go to the toilet a day.
Yeah.
And I'm sure you know that, don't you?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I feel for you, and we thought we'd talk about it in the intro to throw it out there. Hopefully, I'm sure there's people out there who can sympathise with you. But I bet those students are still getting a lot out of you, Adam. And
I'm getting
enthusiasm.
That's right. I'm getting a lot out of them too. I certainly don't want to say that I'm not enjoying it. It's just the what we like to say here, isn't it, that we are 2 regular teachers, and even with my experience, going back like that can still throw me completely out of whack. And even the planning aspect and where I've got to go with these kids and what I've got to do is totally different to what I've done in the past and what I've done previously that's worked. So I'd love to hear from others. This is not a topic, but I'm sure there's other. I'm not alone. I'm certainly not saying that I'm the only one that's done this. So
no,
it's
you wouldn't be alone, Adam. And on another note, before we get into our topics today, it's interesting. This is really the week, isn't it? I'm calling it the excitable week.
Yes, the excitable week
where teachers are running around going, I'm going to try this year. Let's get that organised. I'm going to go and laminate that. I'm going to put that on my wall. I'm going to create this new program, and everyone's excited. And then by the end of this first week, like as of tonight, people are starting to get a bit tired, a little bit run down already.
People start dribbling out a bit earlier.
That's right. And you just wonder how many of these great things actually will last throughout the year. I know everyone knows what I'm talking about.
And everyone means well, don't they? They mean well. You don't see those laminating things get a workout. They don't see any more work like that for the rest of the year.
I hate laminating. I hate it.
But it's worthwhile.
A colleague said to me once, it's therapeutic. I stand there and it feels good. And I said, no. It's too, the day, I don't want to laminate anything, but if they do, but sometimes I have to. Maybe it's like a set of guidelines for the class. The day they build one where that thing just shoots through, I'll be wrapped.
I think everyone will be wrapped. But you hate it. But when it's up on the wall and you see that it's going to stay like that, you go, well, that's why I do it. If you forego that laminator and you put it up on the wall in paper and it's ripped in 2 days, you think, I'm an idiot. I really am an idiot. So
I think it's a bit worrying, Adam, that we're getting onto laminators. So let's get into our real topics for today.
Let's do it.
Adam, it's still summer and we're getting back into the routine, and I read an article late last year about summer holidays and whether students should have lots of downtime over their summer break or whether they should get down to it, as the headline in the Age said, summer holidays downtime or down to it. And the article discussed whether academic achievement is reduced or in layman's terms, does it go down over the summer break? And this is an interesting thing because I think we have those collegiate chats with our fellow colleagues over the first couple of weeks about which students maybe seem to have maybe dropped off the perch, particularly when you're doing those that early testing and stuff like that.
You wouldn't say they've regressed, would you? You wouldn't say they've regressed, but they just come back, and I think the word we used before was rusty. They come out there just sort of rusty, and you look at them and go, you should know that, but they just look at you kind of blankly as if to say, I've completely forgotten. What you've just asked me, I don't know the answer. I legitimately don't know the answer to it.
The article focuses on whether parents are worried about their students' academic abilities sliding, but there's a lot of quotes from primary school principals. One principal, Kevin Mackay of Dandenong North Primary, said that students should just enjoy the summer.
Yep.
And he says it's a renewal time for neurological pathways. So kids get accelerated learning when they come back. Play is important. I have to agree with Kevin all the way here.
Could not agree more. Well, in the summer, in January the 5th, it's a beautiful day. What would you rather than be doing? Inside on athletics or down at the beach? You take the beach every day of the week.
And I can hear some colleagues of mine who I've worked with over the years, who are passionate about education, saying right now, who says that they're not learning?
Yeah.
Because I mean, if you said play, if they're down at the beach and they're playing, like what is not learning in that case?
Yeah,
like if you're having, I mean, think of all the things even you and I did as kids. You might be discussing a sea creature with a parent. You might be building sandcastles in terms of height.
So even driving down to the beach goes from 50 to 70. Well, what's the difference between 50 and 70? It's those little things. Is that on that? I know I'm going off probably topic a bit, but could schools at the summer send home a note to say, here's some wonderful ways that your child can still learn over the summer holidays without it having to be a chore?
Well, sometimes that's on the report anyway, isn't it?
It is.
We have to put that on the school report. But I'm actually going further back, thinking that these things are happening naturally. And you don't even really need to say that to parents, because summer holidays are just a breeding ground for learning, I believe. But there is a comment from another researcher. Research has been done in other countries such as New Zealand and the US, but no official research about whether students' academic abilities slide has been done in Australia. But there is a comment about how the drop in this, particularly in the US, the drop in academic achievement is related more maybe to low socioeconomic status.
And that makes sense, doesn't it? I mean, that just, you wish it wasn't like that, but that's just the way it makes sense, isn't it?
I mean, students who love reading are going to read over the holidays, aren't they? Most kids, I know every year I got new books for Christmas.
Me too.
From Santa. And it was always great. And now you and I, as adults, we have always had, as I know a lot of our friends concur, have a lot of books to read over the summer.
Always. Well, I just picked up a Kindle, if I'm being honest. I just got a Kindle, because I want to read more books and I'm impatient, so I can download them in 10 seconds. But I agree. And there's so many ways that the kids can be learning that they don't have to talk about. I mean, getting them comic books. They could be watching the cricket and seeing them hit a 4 and go from 8 to 12. There's all these little ways that parents think, no, they've got to sit them down in front of the computer. You've got to be doing athletics, and that's the only way they're going to be getting that learning. When you're right, it kind of happens on the periphery, and we need to acknowledge that.
There is this focus, a lot more now, particularly in society, on getting your kids, giving them books to, NAPLAN practice books and all that sort of stuff. I think we can't forget that everyday play situations, there's so many opportunities there for parents.
Absolutely.
Another principal from Noble Park Primary, just suggests to parents, during play time in the holidays, just talk to your kids about it. During cooking, during, like you said, down at the beach. I mean, if you're having conversations with your child, surely that is learning right there.
Absolutely.
But if you're handing them something like a device, and I'm not bagging devices here, but if you're handing a device every day and saying, go off and I've got to do stuff, then I don't think there is learning going on. But
no, I don't think so.
If you're having conversations, then...
the conversations are powerful, and any teacher would say the conversations we have with the students all the time and the feedback we give them is so important. Parents are more than capable of having their own conversations that pass on some of that learning as well. So I'm in agreement that there doesn't need to be that sit-down sort of learning. They need to be outside playing and being kids, but they are still learning at the same time.
Sure. So just to finish off, some of the research that was done, particularly in New Zealand, there was a program they put in place, a scheme to gift students, particularly students from lower socioeconomic backgrounds, 25 books to read over the summer. Apparently, it had a strong effect on them. But I think you and I can, anyway, to finish up, we can both see, I think some kids come back a little rusty, like you said, but I think that's okay. But I think they're a little bit rusty in maybe the routine of what we do at school.
Yeah, sure.
Maybe they're a little bit rusty in their quick thinking, like when they're doing a mental maths school. But I think that's because holidays aren't like school.
That's right. And also, just to finish, I know we wanted to finish there, but the Starting Right program as well, when the kids do come back, I know we do the week and a half and the starting right's important. Is it something across schools they need to look at and go, is it too long? Do they need to scale it back to 4 days so they can start that learning early? So that rustiness, they're over that hump a bit sooner and they're into their learning a bit quicker. Is that something they need to consider as well?
Possibly, and particularly in the later years where the students have been in that cohort for a long time, they know each other. Do they need to be doing getting to know each other activities?
Yeah, that's right. So look, if you've got any experiences with that, particularly with the rustiness and your thoughts on that, we'd love to hear from you. So Rick, for our next topic, I have to ask you, are you a Channel 9 fan?
Oh, I'm not, Adam.
You're not?
No. Would you like me to start? I can tee off as long as you want.
You can go for all your life.
I've got a good...
This is the soapbox right here.
I pull out my big fat driver.
Okay, righto.
I don't know if it's time for me to do this. I know where you're leading with this topic.
Yep.
Look, I don't watch it anymore. There's too many things about it that annoy me. I just think... look, and people can disagree with me. I just think it's too commercial, I think.
Yep.
And I think we pay too much lip service to the people who speak... regularly on that station, such
as the great Karl Stefanovic, who's got a big cult following.
Is it Stefanovic or Stefanovic?
It could be Stefanovic, Karl Stefanovic, or I think I said Stefanovic, didn't I? I think that's completely wrong from Lavaz there. I was reading it phonetically.
You don't watch a lot of Channel 9 either.
No, I don't watch a lot of it, so I could have been Chris Stefanovic for all I know. But over the last week, he came out with an absolute gem, so to speak, on the Today Show, having an absolute... he had a crack. I think we could say he had a crack at teachers for giving homework that's too hard. And he was pretty forthright in his thoughts, wasn't he, mate?
Well, he was, Adam, and we'll put the link to the YouTube clip on the
blog. It's only the small one too. It's only one kind of off camera, but it gets the point across.
So it's an off camera one that was put onto the Facebook page.
Yes.
Now, we aren't going to get too defensive here. We weren't, because I think he was having a laugh.
Yeah.
But he talks about teachers please leaving parents alone this year with homework. The homework they send is too hard. Now, he makes a couple of comments about, I don't want to build a suspension bridge.
No.
And I don't want to do I don't know.
Do a 4-minute essay in another language and all that sort of stuff. And I'm annoyed at him about having to create teachers leave us alone. Who does he think he is? Pink Floyd or something like that? Teacher, leave us Karl Stefanovics alone. But my point of wanting to bring it up was that someone like Karl does have an audience. He has a lot of people listening and a lot of people watching, isn't he?
And I went hard on Channel 9 early, but I've watched some clips of him and he's quite a funny guy.
Yep.
I think he's gained this little bit more of like a pop. Sort of a popular, almost like a pop, he's part of pop culture now.
He is, and a lot of things he does. My problem with it is he's the sort of guy who will say something like this, and there will be parents out there who will sit back and go, yeah, stinking teachers giving us all this homework, doing all this sort of stuff. What's going on here? This is wrong, and they'll start teeing off, and then we know what happens as teachers. That snowball effect starts. They start coming up or talking out and having that car park sort of gossip. What about the homework they're getting? Oh, I didn't like that. Oh, and it starts to snowball into something that's not there.
It's interesting because he was having a little bit of fun with it.
He was.
But I find that my experience over my 9 and a bit years is that most parents who I have contact with are supportive of homework. And we've talked about homework on the podcast before.
Yeah.
It's one of those monopolising topics that most of the parents I talk to want to know what's happening for homework. Can we do this? Can we do that? And sometimes are concerned that there's not enough.
Yes, there is. And it is. And it's almost sometimes... You either get one end of the spectrum, you either get the parent who thinks there's too much or the parent who doesn't think there's enough. How often would you get a parent say, no, the perfect amount of homework is coming home. There's always that want, I think he also makes a good point in that teachers still need to meet the parents halfway. I think the teachers definitely have a responsibility to send homework home. And I think Karl was okay. It was tongue-in-cheek, and I think he was talking more about maybe high school or upper school and things like that. But as teachers, we have that responsibility to send homework that is meaningful and that is that the students can do, that is going to support their learning, isn't it?
And look, I think a lot of people disagree with homework completely, but it's still in school policy. So we have to. That's why we're talking about it.
Yeah, that's right. Yep.
And I think you're right. I think something that is that also is manageable as well.
Yep.
Kids are busy these days. They have so many other extracurricular things they do that their families have booked them in for.
Yep.
We talked about swimming last week. We've talked about sport programs before. I think the homework needs to be meaningful, that actually genuinely is beneficial for them. And to me, and this is my opinion, whatever it is, it needs to be quite small and targeted.
Yes, I agree. And again, Karl talking about the suspension bridge and the writing an essay in another language. I'd encourage Karl, just in tongue in cheek, to go up and talk to those teachers and say, well, why are we having this homework? And I can guarantee him that they would give him a numerous amount of reasons why this is important to their learning. It's not just about learning a new language or building a suspension bridge. There's so many other aspects within it. So, Karl, mate, if you can get off Channel 9 for a little while, I'd encourage you to go up to your school where your kids are and maybe have a bit of a chat to them.
Well, you never know. Maybe Adam, he's well involved at his kids' school, and maybe he's already done that. But
maybe.
Look, we apologise to any of our listeners for putting a link to a Channel 9 story on the blog.
Yeah,
but
no, look, it's horrible. Rick was actually shaking when I said it's off Channel 9. He actually shook. I had to sit him down and calm him down and give him a stiff drink because he thought, I don't know if I can deal with it.
There's a friend, just to finish off. There's a friend of mine who'll know what I'm talking about here. But I used to hate that voice on the promo ads. Channel 9. Remember that?
Yeah. Or what's the other one of Tonight on Channel 9, the key movie. That sort of stuff like that. Yeah.
So anyway, so look, enjoy the video. Don't get too fired up, and I'm sure we'll talk about homework again this year.
Definitely. So, mate, our third topic for the night, I want to touch on the State Education Minister. James Merlino has released his plan for the future for Victorian education and what he plans to do over the next few years. And of course, for teachers and parents and everyone, it's always a big topic for discussion. And I must admit, again, I wasn't too overly excited by what he had to put in there.
It's interesting that, yes, you're right. Interesting at the start of the article it mentions that the big challenge is to resuscitate Victoria's rundown education system. Now, perhaps that's just newspapers blowing it out. I don't think it's that. I don't think things are that bad.
No, it makes us sound third rate, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Which is not the case at all. It names our 1,526 schools. Well, I can guarantee you, not all of those are run down.
I think he is talking a lot about, and look, it's fair enough to a degree. He's really passionate about tackling disadvantage and assisting vulnerable families. We know that. I might have to check my facts, but it was either the federal government or the state government as taking out the EMA support. So the Victorian state government are talking about trying to restore some of that.
And gee, that hurts.
School breakfast clubs, all that sort of stuff.
Yeah, the EMA, that hurts to take that away.
It does. It goes completely. Yeah.
It just feels like a decision that's short-sighted to me.
Well, it's been there since I've started my job. I know plenty of students have come through my classroom.
Absolutely.
That support.
And and again, you look at an EMA missing out, and then you look at how much they spent on the Ultranet. It's just. I think it hurts. I think they can be a bit short-sighted sometimes.
Of course, they're claiming that that the Liberal government cut a lot more than what Labor say they will. It seems though that for all the plans that Merlino has, they'll need more than one term to get them all through. It's interesting. He talks a lot about buildings, doesn't he?
He loves it, doesn't he? Loves the buildings.
And we hark back to we talked about this in our Christmas podcast. We talked a bit about the Burr buildings, building the Education Revolution buildings, and this might be going right down to the base level, but I think of things like that. Look, dilapidated schools, yes, they need funding, but building a new building and then sitting it there, and then like a building doesn't come with a brand new curriculum.
Nope.
And schools have to work hard on that. That's schools' job to overhaul the way they do things. With obviously advice from the department and the government, but. I just think of the Burr buildings that I've worked in. They were sort of built and then they're left there, and I'm thinking of just little things like maintenance and the kind of technology you've got in there. Schools normally have to fund that themselves.
And it's short-sighted, and the big thing for me too, going from the buildings, because I know James Merlino talked about wanting to build these whiz-bang technical buildings that schools can go and use, and they're all this wonderful stuff. But again, how many times have we heard they love building these big things and pouring in hundreds of millions? Look how cool we are, we can do this. Why can't those hundreds of millions be just given to each school and spread out to say, here's all this money, go and get your resources, fix up your school, get some more laptops, do things that are going to improve student learning. There are so many schools that would cry out for an extra 50 grand or something like that would just love it and would just improve so much about their school. Why do we need to put 500 million here and 200 million here and stuff when we could spread that out and just improve what we already have rather than trying to build all these new things almost on top of each other that, again, as you said before, they're built and they kind of walk away. They walk away and we've got to try and go, well, how are we getting to these places and how are we going to use them? Or we have to find laptops to use it ourselves and do all those sorts of things. I just think it's disappointing sometimes.
Sure. It's interesting that they've been talking about since just before the election, and I think we mentioned it briefly in the podcast, that they want to build a lot of technical centres.
Yeah, they loved it. They really talked it up, didn't they?
So schools could access that outside.
Yep.
So, and he has mentioned that he doesn't want to go back to the technical schools of the 70s and 80s, but he wants that vocational option, I guess, closer to schools, so disadvantaged schools can access these things, which is fine.
It's that there's nothing wrong with that at all. But again, they only ever talk about building the building. What are they actually going to put in the building that's going to support schools? You know,
if you want to argue with us about this, that's fine, because we always say that we don't pretend to know everything, and and we sometimes find some of the government promises difficult to sift through. Maybe it's us. Maybe you find it difficult too. But,
and look, and I think Merlino means well. Look, I think actually some of the things he puts forward are good in theory. I really do think they are. I'm not looking at everything going, what are you doing? What are you doing? You don't know what you're talking about. I think he actually means rather well. But the proof is going to be in the pudding, and a lot of the times the pudding's not chocolate, it's something like cinnamon, and it's a huge disappointment.
Certainly is. Sounds like the title to a nice picture storybook. Merlino means well.
Merlino means well. Written by Rick Kayla Thompson and illustrated by Adam Lavaz. So if you want to get that book, please contact us. Otherwise, we'd love to hear your thoughts about what James Merlino's put forward for the future.
Well, Adam, it's anecdote time, and your first time for 2015, and I'm all ready for it. Yeah,
my first for the year. I want to come back to the start of the year, and I want to come back to particularly brand new teachers out there, or teachers who've gone into a new area. The information evening at the start of the year, that always happens at the start of the year. You know, that night where probably their second or third week, it's a night time where the parents are encouraged to come up to the school and come into your classroom, and the nerves that go with it, because I'm a pretty nervy man, and I want to come back to, we've got ours tomorrow night. We have a bush dance, the Billy T Bush Dance Band. They're great, by the way. But we have our information night that night prior to it, so 6 to 6:30, and it's great. I don't know about you guys. Do you have to stand up in front of your classroom and actually talk about the year ahead? Is that something Ocean Grove does?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you do that?
I think I've had an information night every year of my career.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah. But I understand those nerves. Isn't it funny? Like, we stand in front of a bunch of humans every day.
Yep.
And even in front of adults as well, maybe in staff meetings. Yep. But those nerves kick in.
They do. And thankfully, I really like what our school does, in the fact that our parents actually come in and just come into the classroom. If they want to come and talk to us, they can. We've got a brochure to talk about the year, and if they want to, they can talk to me, and I might say hello to them and things, and I get to meet them. But I'm nervous. Even with that one, meet a new family for the time, and if it's a parent I've met once or twice already that year, and I've forgotten their name, that's the worst thing for me. I go, "G'day, mate, hey, good to see you," and you shake their hands up. But I actually want to bring up a story about my first year, where we had an information like that, and I tell you what, I had the sweats up. I had all my good gear on. I was sweating up a storm, and the parents started to come in, and I had to stand up the front.
Did you have the glistening forehead?
I did have it. Well, I had a little bit more hair back then, so it wasn't too bad. But I actually stood up the front and went to start. And went, "Good evening, everyone. Thank you for coming." And I got the mumbles. And I started mumbling over my words. "Good evening, everyone. Thank you for coming. What are we gonna?" I had no idea what I was doing. And I reckon they were sitting there going, "Who is this bloke who's teaching our kids? He doesn't know what he's talking about." And I had the mumbles. But even 9 years later, I still get the nerves. As you said, you get nervy standing up in front of these people because you want to show them that you are the right person to teach their kids.
This reminds me, Adam, of I think I will tell this tale.
Yeah, okay.
About 4 years ago, the information night to inform grade 6 parents about the puberty program.
Oh, that's a winner, that one. Yeah.
Now, I won't say where this happened. I won't say when, but it happened many years ago.
Yeah.
And obviously, we had to stay back as staff, and of course, we decided to have just to quickly duck out and have a spot of pizza.
Yep.
We had two beers each.
Yep.
Now, not everyone had 2 beers each.
Yep.
And I won't do that again, Adam. This is a long time ago, not at my current school.
Yeah.
Because a long day. Had my 2 beers, and obviously because you're thirsty, you probably drank them like water.
Yeah.
Drank them like water, and I got up and had to introduce the puberty night. And anyway, the person who was running our puberty program was connected to my history.
Yep.
I knew this person's son and that sort of stuff. So I went into this sort of background about how I knew the family and all that sort of stuff, and had nothing to do with puberty. Nothing to do with puberty. I'm like, we go back a long way. You know? And a couple of my colleagues, my more senior colleagues, were looking at me just with this look like, what the hell is going on? What's he talking about? And look, I wasn't drunk. Adam,
no, of course not.
I was certainly just a little bit lathered.
Yeah, lathered's a great way to put it, mate. Because you don't want to risk doing that sort of stuff.
It's just a quick disclaimer: there were no students there that night.
No, that's okay then. So look, I do want to throw it out to particularly grad teachers who will have their first one in the coming days, probably in the coming weeks.
When's yours, Adam? Do you have one?
Like I said, ours is tomorrow night.
Okay,
so tomorrow night.
Mine's next Tuesday.
Okay, there we go. So we might have a bit of a recap about how it goes, and if Lavar's still gets mumbly, and if Rick still gets lathered. So, mate, brings a close to episode 23 for another week, and very happy with that one. And again, we want to remind people where they can find us.
Sure, Adam. Yeah, we'd like to thank some of our new followers who have liked our Facebook page. Some people we don't know who aren't from our friends list, so that's fantastic.
Yep. Just
a reminder that we're now on YouTube, so if you just search 2 Regular Teachers, it's public and you'll find it. But the YouTube link will also be posted onto the Facebook page, along with extra links to Podomatic. You can subscribe there, or iTunes. And as always, all the articles that we cite are on the blog. So the blog could be your first port of call, because all the links to YouTube, Podomatic and iTunes are on the blog.
Yeah, they're all there. They're all there to access, and we've sort of broadened our horizons to suit everyone. So if you're on your mobile, there's ways that you can listen. If you're at home, there's ways you can listen. Because we want to get everyone involved.
Trying to cover all bases.
That's right. We're good people, aren't we? If we do say so ourselves. So
we are.
But so for me, Adam Lavaz.
Me, Rick Taylor Thompson, and we've been 2 Regular Teachers.